All right, hello everybody. We're here at AAMI Nexus 2026, Day 3, and I'm here with Thierry Wagner, who is a convener and project lead for a really exciting ISO project, international standards that we're talking about today. And the project is ISO TS 2327. 2327, that's how it's pronounced, they say?
That's right, yes.
Beautiful. And to be clear, that's 20327. Um, Terry, this is an interesting project because it touches on something that I think a lot of folks don't think about when we talk about downstream management, which is the last 100 yards or so when a medical device is making its way to and into a hospital space. Why is that an area of concern? Why do we need an international standard for this?
Yes, well, the last 100 yards is a term that many in the industry use for what is happening between the loading dock, that's where devices are arriving, and then the point of use. So somehow you have to bring it from the loading dock to the point of use, and many things can happen. I mean, hospitals have practices to deal with that, but many that are working with hospitals also come back with a lot of anecdotal stories of things that shouldn't happen. And it's also very clear that many hospitals deal with that very differently. So as a manufacturer, you have to consider the user requirements and the user work environment. And if everybody does it a little differently, so how can you do that? That is very hard. And it's a shared responsibility. So manufacturers should design for it, and then users should handle it based on the instructions for use. And currently, this is not standardized. So that's where there's an opportunity, and there is also a lot of risk coming in these last 100 yards.
I can imagine that there is an area of maybe frustration and challenge, uh, basically on the idea that I'm a medical device manufacturer and I'm sending this product out. We've put tons of time, money, we're following standards to the T, and yet somehow when it shows up, in the hospital room, it is somehow not sterilized anymore because something happened where the packaging tore or the box was spilled somewhere. Is that really the challenges and concerns that we're thinking about? Those last 100 yards, something went awry.
Yes, I think it's very clear that hospitals or that you have to maintain the integrity of the package. So that's what everybody is concerned about.
Yeah.
But I think you have to do a bit more. You have also to control the contamination, because when you bring in transport packaging in a truck, right? That transport packaging is really contaminated because it has been exposed to an environment which is not the hospital environment, and maybe it has been transported with other goods that have contaminated also. And then it's very often it's a shipper box based on corrugated cardboard. So these are things that you don't want to bring into a hospital environment. And so hospitals have then to remove that, and then they bring it into the areas where they deliver healthcare. And I mean, there are different environments there. I mean, depending on it's general healthcare or emergency care or an operating room where the requirements are, of course, the highest.
One of the strengths of the ISO technical committees is that they bring in people from quite literally around the world who have expertise in different parts of what is being considered. So, can you tell me a little bit about who on this working group is helping towards this project? Do we have end users and medical device manufacturers? Are there academics? How are you all coming together?
Yes, I mean the working group, if you look at ISO, has 130 members, so it's quite a large group. But I mean, a lot of those members are actually also officers from the standard development organizations. But there's almost 40 different member states that are participating. So there's a group that of about 50 that are participating all the time, and that goes from Asia, from China, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, India, for example. to Europe, so which are like Germany, France, the UK, the Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Italy, or Spain. And then in the Americas, I mean, America, of course, United States, Canada, Brazil,
It's an
just to
incredible list.
name a few.
And
Yes.
I asked this because that really helps showcase then that there are so many different environments and challenges to consider, not even just by hospital to hospital, but nation to nation. The ecosystem of those places is going to be different, even just as we're talking about the last 100 yards. So, can you give me some examples of the challenges that you're trying to overcome in this standard?
Yes, I think in all of these countries, I mean, if you look at hospitals in India, I mean, there might be like very advanced hospitals, but there might be also rural
Exactly,
hospitals that
true.
are still basic. You also have in Africa very different um, situations, and then in Scandinavia or in the Netherlands or in Germany, very advanced, right? And so it's difficult to bring that all together, but the approach is by providing a framework based on risk management that rather than having a lot of prescriptive requirements for nurses how to do it, that based on that they define some pathways to manage the risk of contamination, of cross-contamination, of loss of integrity, and then they operate that system and they can continuously improve it based on the feedback or based what they are seeing and based what they consider as acceptable risk. And the acceptable risk in Europe or in the US might be different
Right.
than in other countries, because you have also to deal with realities.
So guidance for identifying your own challenges and addressing them in a specific and rigorous way.
Yes, I mean the framework is designed that you can use it to build on existing practices and then continuously improve it. I mean, that's the idea, because if you develop a standard which puts everybody like out of compliance, then that's difficult, right? We need to get to a different situation. And many hospitals have already worked towards that. So I think a lot of the concepts behind this standard are coming from Scandinavia or the Netherlands or Germany. Yes, that's what we're trying to now implement for everybody, and also based on some common definitions, some common terminology that we can use. And it's important that the packaging levels that we use for that, when we bring it like in an peel the onion approach from a dirty environment to a very clean environment, it's important that the levels are really aligned with the work environments and the workflows. And when you describe the function of packaging more clearer, then it also becomes easier to optimize packaging. Because what now happens, of course, everybody is concerned about the environment and I mean the waste that packaging is producing, and then questioning, do we actually need it? So, and some manufacturers have already like embarked onto like initiatives to eliminate some layers of packaging, where hospitals said, oh, wait a minute, that is not possible. So we need it. And oh, okay, so this is how you're doing it, right? Okay. And so that's why having that functionality of the packaging clearly understood, maybe it was not a good idea to eliminate it, but maybe there's an opportunity to replace it by something else, which is lighter, and really helping the environment, and even more appropriate than what we have today to achieve the objective, which is actually to protect the patient.
Right. And what's interesting there is that I guess you could describe it as a silver lining of the work, but it's almost more of a natural consequence of taking a deliberate approach to, ensuring that the last 100 yards is more rigorously looked at and addressed. Along the way, you would naturally say, let's also improve sustainability.
Yes, of course. Yeah, we have to we have to manage that in a smarter way and also become more aware of the risks that are happening here. So I mean, we are planning to develop the standard in a very practical approach, while having also some case studies or some typical pathways that you find in a hospital where you can inspire yourself, because like every hospital is different, and the reality is often that it's kind of old buildings or buildings that have grown and there has been annexes, things have been
built on top of infrastructure
added, etc. And then I mean there's also like consolidation. Maybe I mean two hospitals are saying, well, we're going to run only one sterilization center, and because this work item will be applicable to single-use devices, but also what is sterilized in the hospital. And then, I mean, the sterilized packaging will not simply go from the sterilization center over the corridor into the operating room, but it might get into a truck, and or it might go into a lorry and move to a different office or a different building. And this is where you have to think about repackaging it again. I mean, to protect it against contamination and loss of integrity.
It's fascinating because, you know, at the end of the day, I'm sure many people who are very good at their jobs and are very responsible about staying in compliance and ensuring patient safety are still not going to think about, oh, but what happens when it goes into that van? And what happens when it,
Yes, I mean, there is a trend, I mean, towards more like outside sterilization centers. And so this is a topic where there's a lot of attention now, and it's important to define the good practices, because this is still under the control of healthcare facilities. So I mean, that's a big kind of part of the scope. So I mean, it's everything which is under the control of healthcare facilities. I mean, and they own it as soon as it arrives to the loading dock, or they own it definitely when they sterilize themselves, but they still own it if they send it to an outside processor who does it on their behalf. And then, I mean, they also need to send it back in a way that they can bring it from that loading dock again into the environment where they deliver healthcare.
Layer of variables to consider.
Yes.
Now, we know that this is ongoing work, and there's been a lot of discussion about it here at neXus. People seem to be excited about this ongoing project. What are the next steps? Have you identified any major takeaways yet, and what should we expect next?
Well, this work item has already quite some history. So I mean, we started under ISO with a pre work item. So I mean, that's a way to kind of develop a work item. And then we already had quite a document. We're able to work on that in a working group consultation, and now we are in the status of a committee draft, so working now on the resolution of comments that we have to the document, and working now towards a draft technical specification. That draft technical specification will then be balloted, and since it's a technical specification, one formal ballot is enough. So we plan to finish the document somewhere next year. So it could be like until end of next year. So now, with all the pre-work that we did, I mean, things are working quite quickly.
Good.
But we still have a bit of work to do. I mean, we're working on some examples of packaging to illustrate. We're also looking at literature, and there's really a call to action. So I mean, if people have information that they find important evidence, then we're interested. So I mean, this is something that we want to also include in the standard.
Oh, beautiful. So if people do have information that they think would be pertinent to this, say you're a stakeholder who wants to get involved, you can always reach out to standards@aami.org, and we will then connect you with the right folks over at ISO. Uh, Thank you for dropping by and talking with me today about this. It's a very fascinating project and one that it seems like it's addressing an emergent need, something that should be happening.
Yes, I mean, we should remember that we're doing all this for patient safety. And really, I mean, nosocomial infections are still a problem, and it's getting worse because now we have antimicrobial resistance. More and more antimicrobial resistance, that means that there's no more treatment. I'm not saying that packaging is the solution to all of that. I mean, we'll need to have a much broader approach here, a One Health approach. But
Proactivity
packaging
is always-
is a very important chain.
Yeah.
In a chain, right, the weakest link is always what ruptures first. And here's a link that we really have to pay attention to. So that's why we're doing it for all of us, for patient safety.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for strengthening the chain. Keep up the good work, and I'm looking forward to hearing more.
Great.
All right.